Ugh. All right. How the fuck is it going, everybody? I'm here. I'm alive. I did not die. Um, so let's fucking get to it, okay? I am very tired. My work days have expanded. I got to work at 7:13 this morning. I did not leave work until close to 6 p.m. It's a big fucking day, okay? And it's absolutely destroyed my general thought process, but I wanted to jump on today and just kind of complain. And before we start, well, not before we start, but uh, as we sit here, whoop, and let's go ahead and test some sound. It does name one. Okay, good shit. That did not do anything I wanted it to. This dual monitor setup does irritate me a little bit sometimes. Not gonna lie. Throw that
One
there.
thing that an embassy.
Okay. So I've got a few things going on today. Go ahead and just jump onto the Warlock, and we'll see what's going on. Ooh, Iron Banner has returned. Yay. Um, y'all, there is a very special thing that has happened somewhat recently. For one, my birthday was on Saturday, so I am now almost 30. Uh, Not supposed to exist in this world this long. Things are getting weird. But during the past week, and I think this was yesterday. Okay, we had we've got Jackson Hibble, Hinkle, whatever the fuck his name is, dipshit tanky, uh, a sawdust. We've got uh, infrared Haas, dipshit tanky, uh, loser cuck. Also, by the way, keep that in mind. And Peter Coffin. These three stupid motherfuckers like to LARP as lefties, but when you actually look at any of the stuff they do, like especially Peter Coffin with his fucking oh god, let me Peter Coffin. Fuck you, Coffin. This shit. Oh, you know what? I could probably just incognito window. Yes. Thank God. Okay. So we've got the triple group here. Proletarian patriotism. Dressed up in a fucking American flag. Did mass plus ratio plus cancel. Yep. Uh, American flag fucking onesie with the weirdo bulge. Guess he got hard shooting this. American fucking flags everywhere. Bill of Rights behind him. To LARP super fucking hard. Hinkle and Hawes also support this extraordinarily cringy shit. And they've been directing people to sign up to CPUSA, the Communist Party USA, and a bunch of other ridiculous shit. Oh no, I can't believe I did that. I didn't show it because I've got my full screen on. Here we go. Yeah, this shit. Sorry about the bulge. Uh, Peter Coffin, proletariat socialism or patriotism, proletarian patriotism. Well, it turns out that these three have been pushing people to try and join CPUSA, that Communist Party USA. And the Communist Party USA decided to put out a fucking statement about these laughable dipshits, these utterly ignorant uh, fascists. Actually, they are. I'm going to come out and say it right now. I believe that Jackson Hinkle, Peter Coffin, and Hawes are actually just fascists, and the Communist Party USA agrees with me. And I've said this before, so it's not like I'm just jumping on the bandwagon of the Communist Party USA. I have specifically said that Hawes and the other tankies like him are just fascists. So, what does the Communist Party USA have to say about this? Well, here we go. Of course, we must remain vigilant as we bring members in. Over the last years, we've encountered and overcome challenges from both left and right, including attempts to unduly influence and penetrate the party from outside. Here, the NC should take note of emerging trends that appear left, but are actually pushing right wing positions based on national chauvinism, racism, and fake populism, some of whom seek to link themselves to our history and reputation. We're specifically speaking of an outfit calling itself the Center for Political Innovation, along with the Infrared Webcast. They're even calling for people to join the CPUSA in order to take it over. Why is this happening? Some want to lay claim to our prestige and history. Others want our resources, our national infrastructure, properties, and capital funds. But to what end? That's the real question. The main point is to divert us from the mass democratic movement and the class struggle that underlies it. The goal is to confuse the left and turn the working class movement in the direction of right-wing nationalist and chauvinist positions. In fact, some are employing the canard of socialist patriotism, proletarian patriotism, in an effort to do so. But this patriotism has little to do with the national pride in our multiracial working class and its basis in anti-racism along with working class internationalism, but has more in common with the influences of Trumpian America First nationalism. Update the stream title so that anyone who wants to come in and talk to me about these these fucking morons, they can go ahead and do it. Now, is this extraordinarily funny? God, yes. I can go to the actual. Is this where we? Yep. Yep. It is in this. I think the National Committee will join Rosanna and me in saying loudly and clearly to those making such attempts, not hardly, not on our watch, not in our lifetime. No one should doubt our collective determination to resist these challenges. Jackson Hinkle, Hawes of Infrared, and Peter Coffin. Absolute fucking clowns. Sweet shit. So CPUSA has come out and absolutely dumpstered on Peter Coffin and the infrared crowd. Which there's actually three debates maybe four that I want to pull up.
I've repeated.
Okay, so we got these three debates: Dylan Burns versus Jackson Hinkle, Destiny versus Infrared, and Vosh versus Jackson Hinkle. Yeah, Camel, I would not disagree with you if you said that all three of them were fucking stupid. Where is my hotkeys? Should be working then. Jackson Hinkle is a moron. The only reason you say he's based is because he defends Assad, and that is not based in any leftist sense. Assad is a shithead. So, Assad, Putin, Biden, Trump, all shitheads. Netanyahu, shithead. So, we are going to do. You know what? Let's watch him get obliterated by Vosh, then by Dylan, and then we'll go to the Destiny one. So let's put this right up here. And I don't really have a whole lot that I'm going to have to say over this stuff because Vosh will take care of most of it. But Jesus Christ, I will state Jackson Hinkle does not know anything about what he's talking about. He didn't even read, not even bother to touch on the most basic information in any of the whistleblower bullshit that he was bringing up. Because if he had, he would have noted that on page 28 of the first draft interim report, or the Hinkle, or the Henderson report, it would even state that they always, for ballistic shit, they would always put in other factors that may have caused the thing, but they even specifically stated that it was substantiated on little to no evidence. It's not about defending Syria. He literally is just there to defend Assad. It has nothing to do with defending the people of Syria. He doesn't give a shit about you, Cam. And he specifically said he does everything for clout, everything. So no, I'm not inclined to believe him.
I've repeated this like 20 times now. Are you like deaf? I'm being very clear on this. Can you cite any part of the report where he claims that there was no chemical weapons attack?
Bro, he.
How you doing?
All right. Good. How are you?
Doing wonderfully. All right. No reason to continue with the pleasantries. Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah. I mean, as you know, there's a lot to get into. So, I guess I'll just start off by saying, for the audience who doesn't know me, I'm a relatively new streamer, political streamer. I've been doing this for about a year and a half. My name's Jackson, and I'm not a journalist, but I've been following this story very closely. And I was frustrated by some of the things that you said on your stream regarding both the general findings of the OPCW investigators and of my own views on the subject. So that's why we're here. We're going to talk about it.
I'm sure. All right, so a little bit of a preamble before we get into this. I suspect this is probably going to be a waste of time because I have a lot of experience debating Holocaust deniers. I know that generally speaking, when people form their opinions based on conspiracism, it's usually not because they actually have a vested interest in the facts. It's usually because they have like a set of bias.
Well, considering it was proven positive on the side of chemical weapons being used, yeah, these are a little bit older debates. I mean, this one in particular came out in July of this year. So, like 4 months ago. The Destiny on Dylan Burns is actually from my birthday. and the Hinkle Burns debate was on the 28th of September, so my mother's birthday.
That existed beforehand, and they'll engage in like selective reasoning to adopt any beliefs that they can use to post hoc justify those, pre-existing biases. I guess we'll see how much of a waste of time this turns out to be. So I wasn't that familiar with the specifics on this incident until I guess last night because
I saw you're doing some late night Wikipedia prepping, right?
yeah, I'm not familiar with like every conspiracy theory out there. I also don't know much about like Alex Jones' claims about Sandy Hook. Sometimes you gotta like pack that stuff in. It's also like completely irrelevant to anything a progressive should care about. So, but I looked into it, and the information in favor of my side was so overwhelming and so compelling that by the end of this conversation, I legitimately believe that your continuing to disagree with me can be attributed only to mental illness or willful dishonesty. I actually believe, like, at first I thought, like, oh god, this is going to be like a really confusing and granular issue where like it's going to be really tough to understand. But the more I looked into it, I realized that this is such an unbelievably difficult issue to contest the general narrative on that like, wow, But again, like I'm coming into this with a little bit of bias because I've interacted with a lot of members of the broader like gray zone Jimmy Dore community, and I have, let's say, like a negative opinion of them, you know. But I don't know. Maybe you'll change my mind. We've, had some pleasant interactions in the past, so I guess I'm open to that being adjusted. So you wanted to talk about the OPCW report, the chemical weapons attack on Duma, or alleged chemical weapons attack, and all of the implications and possibilities theretofore. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, we don't have to talk about anything besides that. Do you mind if I give some initial context, though? This isn't something my audience is that familiar with. I want to explain, like, the broader context, if possible.
Happily, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So, Bashar al-Assad is a brutal, tyrannical, far-right dictator, and he has, over the course of the Syrian civil war, engaged in many acts of barbarity against his own population, both political and military, which has led to the death of nearly 100,000 civilians attributed to him, the displacement of millions. There have been dozens of chemical weapons attacks that have been attributed to him and verified by a number of international organizations designed to engage in peacekeeping and find facts. So to fake all of like those chemical weapons attacks beforehand would be like to assemble the evidence in such a way as to form dozens of false flags that tricked so.
Just because some organization. No, it's not an anti Syrian narrative. It's a Bashar al Assad gassed his fucking people narrative. Because he did. We're not arguing over this. This OPCW and the 4 other investigations that took place corroborating with the OPCW, sharing information back and forth to come to their fucking conclusions, yeah. I'm gonna trust the experts who study this stuff rather than some dipshit who has a vested interest in defending Assad because he sees Assad as the best thing for Syria when he's objectively not. You just don't like Kurds and you don't like Jewish people.
We lost sight of it over the Pacific.
Your light is what makes you a guardian. Come, test it.
Did you miss that run in the Crucible? Shame. Right.
God damn it. Alright, Discord spies. You're also being stupid as fuck right now. But yeah, no, I'm gonna take the experts who study this and have put a lot of time and effort into checking this shit out, even with a 2 week delay, because Syria and Russia cited security concerns. Then when they cleared it, the fucking people who went in to investigate got shot at, even though the rebels had already left the fucking area. So who the fuck was shooting at them? Maybe it was Assadist forces.
so many orgs internationally, it's like unfathomable. So there's a history of the use of chemical weapons by Assad's regime against civilian.
Wait. Fosh. Sorry, before you continue, it's just important to get some of the facts right.
Time to
And
fight,
by the way, I know you labeled me as an
What do you
Assad
mean?
defender on your stream title. I have no problem saying that Assad is a brutal dictator, and I do not defend him. What I'm here.
Don't stray too long.
No, you don't like Jews and you don't like Kurds. There's a difference here, and I don't think you actually know what that difference is. So, yeah, no. I'm not going to take your word on something that Assad did when you literally have your nose so far up his ass it's coming out of his fucking stomach. Why the fuck would I listen to you about anything that happened over there?
You don't look too banged up.
That's just dumb.
Here to do is defend the whistleblowers and the investigators who were sent on behalf of the OPCW into Duma. But what I will say is that you said a bunch of international groups and activist groups had confirmed all of these previous chemical weapons attacks. That's a pretty broad statement. This is actually the first time that the OPCW has ever been able to go on the ground in Syria and investigate a chemical weapons attack. And that's why this is so important. So all other previous chemical weapons attacks have usually had key evidence that was passed through these rebel groups, these Saudi-funded Al-Qaeda-linked rebel groups like Jaish al-Islam. And in addition to that, a lot of these previous attacks have been contested.
Right. So we're beginning already. So first of all, you can't really claim that you're not defending Assad when you're making the claim that numerous and highly credentialed accusations against Assad with regards to him engaging in crimes against humanity are fake. Like, that would be saying, like, I'm not defending Hitler. I just think that Auschwitz-Birkenau was a POW camp, and the deaths there were the product of, like, Allied bombing train lines so they couldn't get food there. I mean, this isn't really what we're here to talk about. If you're one, I encourage, like, any audience member to take a look at human rights violations during the Syrian civil war. There are estimations on the use of chemical weapons that range from, I believe, 32 is the conservative number that most people use. There are some orgs that claim that it's in the hundreds. There have been many international organizations that have directly observed the use of torture.
Okay. Don't fucking lie. You've had your nose up Assad's ass constantly, literally just downplaying everything he's ever done that is documented historical fact. As a matter of fact, let's scroll down here. Yeah, it's Wikipedia. But that's fine. Let's just scroll down. Let's see what all the sections here are. Education. Oh, what do you know? A very, very common fucking thing in every Wikipedia article for a person. War crimes. Okay, this is U.S. Ambassador at Large for War Crimes issue stating this, so they're, great assault. No, see, I don't have any of that power. And B, I don't need to do any of that, even if I had the power. Now, funding of extremist jihadists, that's not what the general Kurdish area is. Do you even know what they want? Do you even know what Rojava actually wants? Like, do you know what Kurdistan is supposed to be? No, I've tried that trick before. That's a lie. Now, there are some instances on Wikipedia where you change the language, and some things written in English don't translate over to a different language, so it gets slightly muddied. But that's not the fault of Wikipedia. No, this is something that we do need to talk about. America does commit war crimes, yeah. Yeah, absolutely does. And guess what? I condemn those too. I do. America commits war crimes? Bad. Syria commits war crimes? Bad. No, that is not what the Kurdish people want, Camel. I knew you didn't know a goddamn thing about what's going on, even in your own country. Sad. No, see, what they want is a regional government. I don't care about your fucking individual examples.
Unlawful killing, the bombing of hospitals, the indiscriminate shelling of civilian areas, collective punishment, the slaughter of political dissidents, the deprivation of food and water, the destruction of key infrastructure.
So we agree
it goes
not a good guy. So we agree.
Wait, hold on. So you can't. So wait, really quickly. You can't say like.
I just want to make sure we're in agreement on that.
Yeah, Assad is a bad guy. It's just you were just saying like actually the.
And like I just said, Camel, you can translate something from English to a different language, and then you will get a different outcome, a different set of information when you try and translate it back, because that other language doesn't actually have a word for certain words that English does. They don't have that. So they have to substitute it with something. And then the translation, because we do have that word, because we took it from another language, translates to what we use in English. You will get some pretty bad translations. There was a whole deal back in the day with anime translations, because they would take Japanese kanji, put it into a translator, which was kind of poorly done in the first place, and then come out with English. Then to try and retranslate it back to learn how to say it, they would put that English into the translator, and it would come out all sorts of fucked up. Google Translate is a lot better at it now. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. You have done a lie. English page. Political position. Left wing. Yes, I do watch anime. I love anime. No, Camel. It's really not. The only people who say that are people who don't like the factual information. Do you know what these are? These are citations and references that you can go to. And as long as this page is still up, here, we'll just hit the English translate. Because I don't speak Arabic. I don't read it. Contradictory. It even tells you, hey, Oh, what do you know? You did fucking lie. It says that it had become a major syncretic right wing political force in the early 1950s, but was thoroughly repressed. It moved left in 2005, joining the Baath Party led National Progressive Front. There is one instance of right wing. But see, I can't trust you on that. It's really not, buddy. You just don't like the information presented. That's all it is. Well, I can't read the article because it's. Is the article just gone? I guess the article's gone. But yeah, you can check all the sources. See these little numbers here? Oh, what do you know? Wayback Machine. Our Syria has distinct national boundaries. Arabism and its repercussion forms solidarity among Syrians in Latin America. Hey, look at this. You can you can read a thing from the web archive. This one can't be found. No. A lot of these are Arabic sources or U.S. State Department here for this one, but it's not even cited to anymore. It's probably been retracted since this was written. A New York Times article, 2017, Reuters. This is from a. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, no, there's actually almost nothing from Israel here. And what do you know? You just assumed that half the sources would be from a place with Jewish people where Jewish people live. You really do seem to just hate Jewish people. Yeah, that's two of the sources cited out of 62. U.S. State Department, New York Times. Two sources. God, you're fucking dumb, dude. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. So yeah, nope. Wikipedia is a perfectly valid
These
source.
things haven't been confirmed before, and they were all passed through Syrian rebel info, which isn't true.
Things that you just said. I said that a lot of the key chemical weapons attacks have been contested by very reputable sources. For example, one of the most notable that the U.S. had indicated was a major chemical weapons attack. The alleged chemical weapons attack in Ghouta was actually it was contested by a number of individuals. It was contested by Seymour Hersh in the London Review of Books, and in addition to that, Actually, Barack Obama confirmed that these reports were false of an alleged chemical weapons attack when James Clapper told him that the evidence of the alleged Syrian chemical gas attack in Ghouta was not a slam dunk and they shouldn't act upon it.
So, saying that evidence is not a slam dunk and should not be acted upon is not the same as repudiating the existence of those attacks to begin with. Additionally, this is one of the reasons why conspiracy is really difficult to.
Well, I can't read Arabic, so there's not really a good way for me to like prove you wrong because I can't read Arabic. It's just a thing, and Wikipedia actually uses Google Translate to translate things. So I'm sure you wouldn't trust me just putting all of it into Google Translate. But I'm pretty sure you're fucking wrong. Well, he's right about Syria, so. See, you just have a hella hard bias. It sucks. It sucks. I know. You just don't want to admit your bias. Or you will admit it and you just don't give a shit.
Wait, please, hold on.
You allege that Assad, without a doubt, perpetrated all of these attacks.
No,
That's
I
what
did
you
not.
said.
Wait, I did not say that actually.
You
What I
did.
said is that
You
there is
did.
wait, hold on. What I actually said was that there is undeniable evidence which has been corroborated across many international peacekeeping organizations that the use of chemical weapons has taken place in Syria, the majority of which has been attributed to Assad. For many of these chemical weapons attacks, it is logistically impossible to determine who actually did it. We don't always have the ability to factually determine the exact circumstances that led to chlorine gas contamination in an area. However, a lot of these are very heavily, inferentially, attributable to Assad. I think about 95% of them tend to be.
I'll also add, before we continue on here, that a lot of these key organizations that you are citing, like Human Rights Watch, for example, I'd imagine is one of the ones that you'd cite for, claiming that there are all these chemical weapons attacks. They all differ in how many acts.
Again, I can attribute that, and I've already explained it. Poor translation capability on certain things, certain phrases and words that just don't exist in certain languages. It happens.
Actually took place based on the evidence and the validity of it. So some of these groups allege that there were over 300 chemical weapons attacks that took place. Some allege that there were only 30, and even in those 30, still huge problems with the amounts that, or the evidence that's used to suffice the claim that Assad was responsible. So I think we can both, argue our heads off on these previous chemical weapons attacks, but what we came here to talk about today was the OPCW cover-up scandal in Duma.
The cover-up scandal is a pretty strong term. But anyway, I just think it's interesting that when pointing out the fact that there was a tremendous amount of evidence of previous chemical weapons usage by Assad in Syria, you instantly leapt to his defense. And wait, hold on. It's always alleged, because he denies all of it. But you instantly wait, please. It's just
then it's not alleged.
It's interesting that you don't call yourself an Assad defender when your apparent defense of the regime extends beyond the one incident where we have whistleblowers from the OPCW, but extends broadly to the entire range of information we have on the subject. Again, this isn't what the debate is supposed to be about, and conspiracism is always like a rabbit hole because, again, I've argued with Holocaust deniers. Did you know there was one investigation from the Red Cross that found that there were no deaths at this camp back in 1933? That's curious. Like, you can go.
It doesn't have to make sense. Why did people kill their slaves?
Weapons in the Syrian civil war. I'll put it this way, okay?
Like,
the use of chemical weapons has been so significant and so extensive and so well documented.
Oh, it doesn't even make sense. Yeah, it fucking does.
All these instances to Assad would require a greater false flag operation than literally any other effort in human history. I would believe that as readily as I would believe that the existence of Auschwitz-Birkenau was faked by, Jewish American journalists who, were planted at the scene and took photos of, a summer camp and put, iron rod fences around it to convince Westerners that the Holocaust happened. You can look at the evidence if you want, but again, we can only, go into so much. So, your claim... Oh, God, we haven't even gotten to what happened. Okay, So on April 7th, in 2018, in the city of Duma, which is about 10 kilometers away from Damascus, there was a
You can,
Syrian
oh my god, all
occupation
you
of the
want.
city. This occupation had taken place for about 6 years at that time.
People
The
do
city
things
was
that don't make
completely
sense all the fucking time just because.
and then the following things
Damn,
allegedly
they're
took
everywhere.
place. Two Mi-8 helicopters,
They
which
physically
are used by
can't
the
be.
Syrian Air Force, dropped chemical weapon payloads on a neighborhood in the city of Duma, releasing chlorine gas, which killed, I think, yes, allegedly, which killed about 32 people, led to the displacement and injury of hundreds or more, which were then, they went off to hospitals and what have you. And
the key
Oh, no.
investigators who are on the ground in Duma, they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the helicopters that were claimed to have been seen
I didn't.
did not drop.
I didn't mention the
any cylinders
Holocaust.
that were
I
seen
said
on the
slaves.
So what you're saying is incorrect, but we haven't gotten
Hold on there, Camel. I didn't mention anything about the Holocaust. I said slavery. Vosh said the Holocaust. Do I sound like Vosh?
to that yet, okay? We'll get to that, don't worry. So anyway, here is the evidence, I suppose, on my side. So here's what would have needed to have taken place. Wait, is your suggestion that this was a false flag? The chlorine bombs were dropped by U.S. or Syrian rebel forces, or is your contention the same as the Russian and Syrian governments that there was no chlorine gas released?
Might have died.
There's
Jesus
no
Christ,
definitive,
Camel. You really are a shit
outline as to
person.
what actually took place yet, because the investigation was stopped. The key
Like, you're
facts and
seriously
key members
shitty.
were forced out of the team, and they weren't able to complete their investigation. So if you read in the actual,
This is also incorrect, but I'm asking you, was it a false flag or did it not happen?
Listen, Vosh, you're the one who's spent all last night on Wikipedia reading about this
We
for the
haven't
first
gotten
time.
to the actual facts of the case yet. I'm asking you.
Let me finish my point.
I didn't mention the Holocaust,
If you read
Camel.
the first draft report, you will find that they left open multiple different avenues or opportunities as to what could have actually taken place in Duma and what was responsible for the alleged attack.
Okay, so the argument by the Russian and Syrian governments was that there was no attack, that chlorine gas was never released in that area. Is that an opinion that you share?
You see, Jackson actually does not have any real information. He's operating at the same intellectual level as you there, Camel. Pretty sad, really. Yay! It's your implied tone. Oh, some people might have died. Very sad. Can we move on? I didn't call anybody a Nazi. I haven't mentioned Nazis. Like, what are you going on about? I really haven't, like, mentioned Nazis or anything.
Or do you believe that the Russian Syrian governments are lying or otherwise working off incomplete information?
According to the investigators who are on the ground, there is the potential that there was a non-chemical related attack.
A non-chemical related.
Okay. This is all you need to know. Right here. See, this is the point I wanted to get to. They said they left open the possibility for a non-chemical related attack. That, and he does go on and list fucking Ian Henderson as like 7 different forms of expert. And whenever Vosh asks him, he's like, yeah, Ian Henderson. So, he relies on one report with incomplete information. Are you talking about like in the past, not this stream? Because, yeah, I've mentioned them not this stream, but I don't see what that has to do with anything. We're not on other streams right now, Camel. We're here today, right now.
Attack, like bombs being dropped.
There were over 40 people who died, correct?
That is correct. So, were like bombs were dropped, or like what kind of attack? The city was being shelled at the time. Are you saying that it was like artillery fire?
I'm not. They weren't able to identify that. You can see very clearly, though, that the people who were filmed at the scene had, foam protruding from their mouths. But they weren't able to identify that, and I'm not going to act like me, being some YouTube streamer, has any more information on the subject than what they have provided. But they did leave open the avenue that there was a non-chemical related attack, and they also said they weren't able to find any sort of outlying evidence that suggested that there was a chemical attack that wasn't sarin or chlorine.
So the term leaving open the avenue in this case means nothing. When it comes to investigations like this, especially ones that are done weeks after the actual attack, it's almost impossible to deductively prove anything. The most you can do is use evidence to inferentially try to arrive at the most likely conclusion, which of course the final report from the OPCW...
Not really.
Wait, please,
I'm way more incoherent.
You made a claim, so I'm going to refute that.
Okay.
If you believe that there's no evidence to suggest any of this stuff, and considering it's all open avenues, then we're left in the dust, and who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what happened?
I didn't say what you're saying.
Why don't you? Okay, restate what you just said then.
I said that when it comes to investigations on the ground that are done weeks after an alleged chemical weapons attack, it's very rarely possible to definitively prove anything. The statement leaves open
Which vids?
the possibility, or leaves room for, doesn't really mean much in this case, because potentially they could leave room for anything. That's language that's used similarly in many such investigations.
It doesn't, because they had indicated that it was highly unlikely that chlorine was responsible for this attack. It was found there was like chlorinated.
We haven't gotten to the specific claims yet. I promise you that you'll regret making these statements later. Wait, hold on.
If you believe that
I just asked you if you think it was a false flag or not.
I already answered that question, Bosch.
Wait, no. So the problem is that.
Well, that's because the points are correct, and the comparisons I usually find pretty decent.
Strong, definitive claims made by the Syrian and Russian governments that there was no chemical weapons attack. Do you share their opinion that there was no chemical weapons attack?
There's no evidence of a chlorine gas attack. They left open the opportunity that there was a non-chemical related attack.
By Assad's forces, or...
They didn't insinuate who could have been responsible for the open avenue of a non-chemical related attack. The investigation was compromised by OPCW executives before that could have taken place.
Okay, we'll get to that, don't worry. Okay, so your argument then is that there was no chemical weapons attack, but there may have been a conventional attack.
No, that's not what I just said.
Okay. Would you mind repeating? Because I need you to commit to a position. Because if your position here is we have questions, then I don't even have a position to attack, and I'll just like list out all the evidence of you being wrong.
This is the third time I'm going to have to answer this question. The inspectors told us that there was no chlorine gas release that caused this attack.
In which
That's
report?
What the first interim report.
The
first draft report.
The draft report. You mean the unreleased report that was not representative of the entire opinion of all those present? The one that was drafted by the what was it, Investigator B, the Alex character, the one that was later responded to in internal emails that weren't released by WikiLeaks until 6 months afterwards that proved there were scientific reasons why many of the claims made in the draft report were contested? That report?
We'll get to the integrity of Inspector B, and I know you have questions about that, but let's save that for later because you're jumping around right now. So,
hold on. I'm not the one. I'm not trying to talk about any.
Yeah, Assad's forces, the forces controlled by Assad. Yes.
Inspectors yet. I was just asking if you thought there was a false flag attack, because I need to know which wrong approach to address.
For the fourth time, what I'm saying is there's no evidence that chlorine gas was released from the cylinders, which is what the U.S. alleged was responsible for this attack.
Push the advantage.
Okay? So you got that, right?
Not just the U.S., of course. Also the OPCW in their report, the organization we're talking about, they allege that.
In the final report, but the OPCW investigators who actually were on the ground in Duma investigating this, they found no evidence that chlorine gas was released from the cylinders, okay?
And from where do you know that exactly?
From the reports that they did.
Really? Because
yeah.
Because the person that you're referring to, this Alex, the one who wrote the report.
Why would you run into that?
Inspectors later, I know you want to jump around.
I'm not jumping around. You're making claims about these reports, and I'm addressing the claims you're making.
I want to answer your question, Josh. I want to answer your question because this is the fourth time I've had to repeat myself. So that's the first part of my answer. The second part of my answer is that they left open the avenue that there was a non-chemical related attack that took place. They didn't allege who was potentially responsible for that potential non-chemical related attack. And they also left open the potential for there to have been a chemical attack with a chemical that was not identified on the scene, though they noted that that was highly unlikely.
So your argument, the reason why like you and people who agree with you call people like U.S. State Department shills who want war with Syria, is because you have the incredibly bold position that there was a possibility that some other explanation may have been left open in an interim draft report that was later contested through internal documentation that was kept secret from the public for months and then released in full and responded to in the final report. Your claim is that in an initial draft there was a possibility of there maybe being another case. You don't have any stronger claims to make than that. No reason at all why there were canisters, damage consistent with the drop of those canisters, corpses with bone coming out of their mouths. We can talk about the corrosion of the metal or the hydrochloric acid or the hypochloric acid that was present at the location, which is consistent with moisture combining with chlorine gas. Like, you have no other claims?
Throw out stuff really quickly without actually going through each point. I can do the same. I can do the exact same thing. I won't give you any.
But I'm asking you. Okay, so let's just go over it then. Okay, so let's go over why we think these things.
Before we do, there's one last thing I want to say because you continue to say that the inspectors, the original report, the original draft reports, as you cite it, and you try to insinuate that because it's a draft, it's not valid, even though it was peer reviewed by 4.
Buddy. Buying the same lies. What lies? What is the similarity here? Are you comparing it to weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Because guess what? That took a whole lot of fucking war fervor building and shit like that, and they have not done that at all for Syria. Like, they mention that they're fighting, ISIS in Syria occasionally. But outside of that, no war hysteria. In fact, there's people who were saying not to go to Syria, like conservatives and shit, anti-war types, people who just don't want to put forth the fucking resources towards it. Who are like, don't try and invade Syria. Don't go to war with Syria. So, the U.S. isn't exactly out here trying to take out Syria.
Other team members, and also
the worst we've hoped for, and this has been stated, the worst thing we've hoped for is for the ISIS and the rebellion. I know about late stage capitalism.
None of the points have been refuted.
I've read Imperialism, the highest form of capitalism, or whatever.
By OPCW executives in
Yes,
that
they
draft
were.
report. By OPCW executives, you think they've been refuted?
Buddy,
In
if we
internal
wanted
email
to overthrow
documentation,
Assad, we would have done it
in
already.
that draft document, and the final one included many passages which addressed concerns levied by the draft report you're referring to. Yes.
Really? I would love
Yes.
to see that. 'Cause
By the way,
what-
reviewed doesn't mean accepted. That's why it wasn't published.
No, it wasn't published because they omitted key information to sharply deviate from the findings of the initial inspectors who were on the ground in Duma.
By initial inspectors, are you referring to Alex? Because Alex never left his command post in Damascus. Why do you keep referring to all the people on the ground in Duma as the people who wrote that report? Alex wrote that report.
Alex wrote the report. There was a fact-finding
Yay.
team, though, that collected all of the information for that. And we will get to the integrity of the inspectors later if you want to, because I think that's worth discussing. Or we can discuss that right now if you'd like to.
No, we haven't even gotten to like the... So when we're talking about conspiracies, I find that it's actually better before digging into the conspiratorial elements to actually talk about possible alternatives, okay? So you don't seem to be willing to commit to the Syrian and Russian narrative on this particular issue, which is fine. I mean, you're not like employed by Syria or Russia that I know of.
No, I was too
we
far.
Talk about the likelihood of other possible explanations for what took place there. So, if it was a
gotta slay out.
non-chlorine-based attack, why would there 32 or so corpses found with death markers representative of death by chlorine poisoning? The foaming at the mouth is caused by the acids that form when chlorine gas comes into contact with moisture, like moisture in our throats and in our eyes. That's how they died. I can't show these pictures or videos on stream because they're highly graphic, but there are videos taken at the time and afterwards of corpses piled up in these buildings with death markers that are directly indicative of the causes of chlorine gas poisoning. Were they killed by shells and then somebody like spray canned foam in their mouth, or like enough to convincingly like trick medic crisis teams, or how would that have happened?
So, you just alleged that the symptoms of the victims were indicative of a chlorine attack. Is that what you're saying?
For the corpses, the fact that they were foaming at the mouth, that is absolutely consistent with the symptoms of chlorine death and not like trauma or like shelling. Yes. No, being shelled will not cause that.
So that would be consistent with a mass chlorine attack, like what we've seen happen in,
And
previous
here we
world
go.
wars, where you have huge clouds of, chlorine that are consuming regions of, of war for hours on end. It's not indicative of what took place here. And according to the toxicologist,
Did the chemical attack those who backed the so-called, I'm guessing, rebels have more blood on their hands? No, they don't. I mean, if you're talking about backing them, the U.S., yeah, absolutely. That doesn't mean we have to condone Assad doing bad things. Like, duh. Let's fucking go. Nothing I could do there. Like I said, if you're talking about America having backed the rebels, then yeah, there is a heavy potentiality that you could make that case. fucking fight.
Zone advantage is yours.
No, he got the. Buddy, there's plenty of countries that aren't puppets to the west that are still standing. I think you're missing something here. I just got dabbed on super fucking hard. I thought that would kill him.
Two zones are yours.
But if you think I don't shit on Reagan, like, you got the wrong guy. Reagan did so much fuck shit. Okay? Don't even try and question me on that. I can still shit talk Assad. You know what institutionalized power I've got? Literally none, buddy. I think you don't understand shit about my positions. Do you understand what anti-imperialist, anti-interventionist means? No, I didn't say that. See, whenever you get mad because I don't accept your point of view because, well, you lie about so much shit, you start strawmanning every single thing I say. Is Syria a third world country? I don't like that term, but, you know, kinda. Missed. I just want to shot him. You kind of do, though. You've lied to me. So, I mean... like, things that I can just easily verify. I just Googled them, and guess what? Boom. Oh, Assad didn't gas his people. What's this? An official fucking document that even mentions that there was chemical weapons and shit used, and the method of deployment was a manner that the rebels didn't have access to? I fucking wonder. Oops. Google. Your worst enemy. We're going for an hour and 5. How much longer do we have in this? Not much. Actually, a lot. Um, yeah, this one's super long. You know what? I'd say go check out the rest of this. All you need to know is Jackson Hinkle doesn't understand a goddamn thing. let's go with this one because it's much shorter.
Hello.
Yo, what's up?
Okay, Vosh, what's up? What's up? See, before we get into anything, I want to say, why don't we begin this by being respectful? Let's begin this being respectful.
Syria is kind of considered a part of the global south. It's not considered as developed as other nations. I wouldn't really say it's a third world country because I don't like that term.
Infrared will show respect to people who show us respect. We can have a nice, civil, constructive, respectful conversation. What do you think about that, my friend?
Okay,
Like, let's get this clear. The country is in a fuckload of political and social and economic turmoil. Right now, the standard of living has tanked. Was it a good country before? Like, was it a good place to live as far as needs being met and shit? I'm pretty sure it was. From everything I've seen before the Syrian civil war, it was okay if you weren't Kurdish. However, in times of a civil war, a lot of shit happens, and you can be removed from developed nation status simply due to the standard of living at the time. I wouldn't say you're not civilized. I wouldn't say you're a, what's the term? Because you're currently disadvantaged. I mean, you do have Western pressures, you do have internal conflict, but no. Yeah, you're just currently in a state of strife. That's that's it. Uh, no, it's actually mostly due to Assad. You know, oppressing Kurds and then getting mad that somebody toppled the statue of his daddy. Okay, there's a lot of countries who do that and their standard of living is still only okay. Just because you own a house, that doesn't mean your standard of living is good. Now, I haven't done a lot of in depth research into the economy of Syria pre Civil War. I'll admit that. So I'm not going to go out and say that it was amazing. I will say it's okay. I don't consider America's standard of living amazing. I consider it pretty poor. Yeah, pretty well due to Assad. You know, when people are protesting and then you just shoot those protesters, that kind of does some shit, especially when those protesters have been disenfranchised politically and socially. They get repressed, they get bullied and picked on. Yeah, it can kind of happen, you know.
I agree to those terms, but only after an initial period of disrespect, which I'll begin by saying, why the fuck
But you won't win.
are you
But you won't win that fight. You don't
why
want to
the
do that
fuck
fight. You
are
don't
you
want to do that fight.
spamming my Reddit and my chat debate infrared? What are you doing? Why are you spamming me? Why
I
are
am
you
not spamming you. That is the power of infrared's chat, my friend. We are so powerful right now. You have 8K viewers.
Free education, the USSR did it. Free healthcare, the USSR did it. Housing for everyone, the USSR did it. Guess what? Standard of living was still poorer than other nations like Sweden, like fucking shit. Current Kenya. From what I understand, Kenya is doing pretty well. I know some people from Kenya. So, yeah, just because you have those things doesn't mean your standard of living is still good. I don't consider a good standard of living until you, at least currently in where we're at, you can work 40 hours and provide for yourself and your family, owning a home, having money for all of your bills, which most of which I don't think should cost as much. We need to pull away the privatization and nationalize industries more like electric and shit like that. But you should be able to pay all your bills, own your house, have money for, like, have your food and shit all taken care of, and still have leisure time and money where you can go and do what you need in our current state, like our current state of affairs. That is what I consider a good standard of living. 1960s America for white people. That right there is considered the American dream, and if that was applied across the board everywhere, I would consider it a pretty good standard of living. It still wouldn't be enough for me, but I would concede that this is actually okay as it stands for now. But we do need to move forward. Does that make sense? Yep, that's good. I'm glad food was cheap.
And I have 100 viewers, and our chat is more high energy than your chat. I'm sorry to say, man, I can't control them. They're crazy, out of control. We're wild, bro. We're growing so fast, and we are the future of the left on YouTube.
And I'm out of control cringing, so it's, you know, it fits. That power, that energy, we're matching it. All right, let's do it. Hit me with your best arguments. You a tanky? That's what people say.
I'm 100% tanky, 100% Stalinist, 100% Maoist, Marxism, Leninism in the age of multipolarity and the post-COVID world.
Okay, hit me up. What? I assume you're familiar with some of my arguments.
You know, I'm gonna have to also look into that myself, as opposed to you telling me this, because I don't believe you.
And let's capture a bunch of arguments.
But we'll see.
Sure.
Your view of liberalism, which is also bundled up with your view of American unipolarity, your slander and demonization of Russia as a fascist power, your defense of American unipolar liberal world order against the specter of fascism. And then we can bridge that to your views on the Capitol Hill riots, your endorsement for voting for Biden. That kind of, I want to weave these threads together.
Yeah, bring it all together. Synthesize.
What's that?
Synthesize. Bring it all together. Engage in the dialectic. Take these differing perspectives. Unify them. What do we got?
Precisely. Okay. So as I'm familiar with your argument, okay, this is how I'm going to sum it up. Basically, your idea is that it's an arithmetic, right? Liberalism is greater than fascism, better than fascism. Then, therefore, socialists or communists should be pro-liberal against the fascists. Basically, that's your argument, right?
Yeah, I don't think that it's worthwhile to attack liberalism if the outcome of that attack would be a descent into fascism. I think that you need to ensure that your critiques of liberalism lead you to a better place, not a worse one.
Okay, are you familiar with Hegel's master-slave dialectic?
I am familiar with Hegel's master-slave.
Okay, so from what I'm seeing here on this chart, you had a high in 1984 of 17.5 billion in your GDP, which doesn't equate to standard of living, I know, but I'm just for economic purposes. And then it didn't hit that high again from an immediate beginning of a drop every year afterwards, with the occasional minor spike up. You didn't get that high again until 2000, when you had a almost $5 billion economic jump. Isn't that when Hafez al-Assad died? Was 2000? Could be wrong on that. And then it started going up from there under Bashar al-Assad, up until 2007.
Iron Banner.
Dialectic.
Okay, so you know it's a battle for recognition. What is the battle for recognition? What is its linchpin? It's a fight to see who is willing to die, right?
Let us see what
Sure. I mean,
two people go at it. Whoever's proving they have more balls, they're more willing to die. Basically, they win out. They become the master, right?
I'm not entirely sure if that's a faithful interpretation of the Hegelian concept, but where does your criticism lie?
Right?
What?
See, it's not necessarily that I think you're lying. Sure. It's that I think I can't trust your word on it.
Wait, for who? Wait, less allegorical.
That's it.
What's the criticism?
I'm telling you, politics is the same shit. You have some type of order. You have the state. You have the status quo. whoever is willing to risk its death with the most courage and with an alternative vision, when you're willing, if you're not willing to risk the death of the liberal order, then you prove your weakness, and then like Bernie did, then the fascists are gonna come and devour you, like how you're saying. But I even object to the view that Trump is a fascist, and there is really a looming specter of fascism that's coming from the right-wing
It's
populace.
interesting. It's crazy how tankies tend to be like the most pro-fascist people that you'll find outside of fascism.
Oh, really?
Because if they acknowledge that Trump is fascist, they would implicitly agree with the Democratic Party platform.
You seem to be supporting the Ukrainian fascists and Alexei Navalny, who was close to being a Russian ethno-fascist, and you called him a fucking civic nationalist. Why is Navalny a civic nationalist, but everyone else is a fascist? Can you answer that question?
Well, fascists are fascists.
But why is Navalny a civic nationalist, but Trump is a fascist? None of them call themselves fascists, according to you. Navalny made a video comparing Muslims. He compared Muslims to cockroaches who should be exterminated, and you called him a civic nationalist.
Why
is he a civic nationalist?
Why would a
that was
fascist call
sick.
themselves a fascist? Wouldn't that kind of give the game away a little bit?
Okay, do you think Navalny's a fascist?
I think that Navalny has some very bad tendencies, but I think on the whole, he's better than Putin. I don't think he's a fascist in the way that
wait. Putin, for all his
God damn it.
and his social conservatism,
I should have.
Putin is not a racist. Navalny's a fucking racist.
Hey, buddy.
Okay, hold on. Let's wait. I don't even care.
This guy that Vosh is debating is smarter than the Jackson Hinkle guy that you were saying was based, even though he's also a complete fucking idiot, as you seem to have astutely guessed here. And he's an Assad defender.
Do you want to roll back to like the substantial argument you have against what we were talking about?
Yeah, it all goes back to the same thing. You're picking and choosing what is or isn't fascism, and based on that, you're shilling for the liberal status quo.
What is fascism? Tell me. What is...
Historically speaking, liberals, English liberal elites, are the ones who funded fascism. It was their pet fucking project.
What is fascism? Give me a definition.
Has always been the liberal elites and the liberal world order.
Give me a definition.
Okay, that was a good one.
Okay? No, see, here's the thing with BreadTube. See, we have a meme among our infrared people. We call your definition mongering, the reduction of the meaning of words to more strings of words, the Anglo box.
I see.
You think the meaning of words is premised by something
so
someone wrote
defining
somewhere?
a concept actually
what is fascism as a historical phenomenon?
Oh my god.
Has that word
I don't know. I think
this guy's solid. So, yeah. No, Hawes is actually fucking... I swear he is brain dead. There is no saving him at this point. Yeah. It's true. Unlike every subject, Vosh is just more informed than the people he debates. As a general rule.
Don't ask me to define fascism, though. I think you're a fascist.
Why do you think I'm a fascist? You don't even know who I am. You've never even heard of infrared and you're calling me a fascist.
How do I need to know who you are? If words don't need to have definitions, then just tell me who you are. That's a fascist.
No. Words have sense. Words have meaning, but that meaning and that sense is not reducible to some formalistic,
it literally is.
String of words that's written in a stone tablet.
Okay, then I can't reduce the reason. I can't reduce the reason why you're a fascist to a formalistic definition.
Where do you think people writing the dictionaries get the fucking words from that they're defining the words from? They get it from actual reality.
Linguistic fascism?
To reduce the meaning of words to another string of words, then guess what? There's no meaning to words at all. Everything's just self-referential. Yeah. There has to be a bit of actual reality to give meaning to the fucking words.
I thought
Let me tell you something else, Vosh. Let me tell you something else.
I thought I was radical like anti-realist, but you're taking it to a whole nother level. You're like a grammatical subjective. You're like a grammatical solipsistic.
If what you are asking is for me to simplify what I think fascism is, that's fine. But I'm not going to give you a definition that's going to hold for every possible context and every possible scenario. I think there's no fucking such thing. But if you want me to sum it up, I'll say this.
I'll simplify it for you by giving you a string of words that means what that tells you what I think it means. Yeah, because he's critical of Syria. You don't like when anyone is critical of Syria because you're biased and you're a nationalist. Part of the reason I don't like nationalists because they will lie or completely disregard shit that happens in their country because it's inconvenient to them, or because they just don't give a shit because it's against a marginalized group. Just a thing that happens. You know, I've seen it. Timer 7. God damn it. Well, from what I've read, old school Baathists are, leftists and not new ones. Yeah, see, the old Baath Party from the 1960s did land reform, nationalization of major industries, foreign investments, confirmed the new socialist direction of Syria's economy. Okay. So, not exactly socialist, but a little bit closer. Centralized planning. Okay, so right, I still don't like nationalism. Like I don't. I just don't like it. I'm not a fucking statist. Again, that's why it's not really socialism. Because socialism has some tenets laid out. Pretty fucking clear. You can follow it in any country. I don't like this socialism with X characteristics bullshit. So, Arab socialism, socialism with Chinese characteristics. No, 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 no. Uh, uh, Russian socialism. None of that. No, no, no. Okay. I don't like nationalism. I didn't even say that the Baath Party is good. I said that they've done some good. Just a little bit different there. But by the way, hmm, let's see. Your economy didn't actually really boom until the 1970s when you opened up the market to the world and sold oil and other agricultural exports. And yeah, your economy would have died if it weren't for Arab aid transfers and Soviet assistance. So, the more I listen here, the more I read, the more I'm proven right. Almost as if I've looked into this before, Camel. I don't remember all the details of everything, but I remember the general vibe of how things went. Okay. Prosperity to austerity in the 80s, over 10 years. So you get 10 years of decent economic prosperity, and then you have to go to austerity. Serious economic boom collapsed as a result of rapid fall in world oil prices, lower export revenues, drought, falling worker remittances. Arab aid levels decreased because of the Iran-Iraq War. Uh, Jesus. Okay, so that's when that was. I can track all this onto here up until 2007. Yep. Okay. Yep. 1960s is when they started tracking it. Wow. 1960, the total GDP in US dollars was $857,704,431 and 68.6 cents. And then yep, uh Hafez al-Assad took over. And yeah, you had it all the way up until 1985, and then the Iran Iraq War going on in here. Okay, that makes sense. And that lasted how long? 1980 to 1988. Okay, so all the way up, okay, 1984, so 4 years into the war, y'all were still growing. And then 1988, y'all hit that low point. 1989, you hit a really low point. And then it started building back up, and then it had a good dip back down in 94, which would have been Desert Storm, right? There's no authoritative GDP data available after 2012 due to the Civil War. Yeah, that makes sense. No, 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 no. Okay, yeah, being hit with sanctions, restricting trade with the Arab League, Australia, Canada, the EU, as well as European countries of Albania, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Moldova, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Norway, Serbia, and Switzerland, Georgia, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Turkey, and the US. Further extended by U.S. Caesar Syrian Civilian Protection Act. Wait, what? What the fuck is this? I heard about this. No, I'm not saying your entire life was a lie. When I'm saying I can't trust you, it's because you have lied to me before. So I need to just check this shit out myself so I can see for myself. I can't just trust one person's word who has a very strong bias. However, are you hearing me, Camel? And destroy, move to Syria. Buddy, no. Globalization is actually what stabilized your fucking economy. What's destroyed it is the lack of being able to engage globally because of economic sanctions, which I disagree with. I mean, maybe this one, the Caesar Syria Civilian Protection Act, because it hits Assad and well, I guess it's the entire government. If it wasn't the entire government, I don't know. If you sanction like Assad himself and then a few businesses or whatever, that probably wouldn't be the worst, but since a lot of it's nationalized, it's kind of hard to. Okay. Okay, see, that's not globalists that are war profiteers. That's the war hawks. They're different groups here, Camel. They're different groups. You have globalists. I myself am in favor of globalization. I like cooperation and internationalization. It's just what I like, as a socialist, as an anarchist, but as a socialist. No, Assad's probably doing fine because Assad, like all dictators, will ignore sanctions with certain countries if that country is willing to ignore sanctions as well, which some are, and he will fatten his own pockets. Okay, it's really not. Globalization's pretty sick. By the way, Assad, I don't know if you've looked into this, but his net worth has been calculated by a few different sources, and it does have a range. It's a very large range, but the most accurate one that people or the one that people rely on most and say is most accurate is around $5 billion US. Now, yeah, 125 billion Syrian pounds. Yeah, he's got like like 5 billion USD or 125 like billion or whatever Syrian pounds. I actually think this is a lot more than that. Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, 12 trillion Syrian pound. Okay. No, he probably won't. Fuck off right now. And while I do want him to fuck off. I want it to be by the people who live there. I've said this multiple times to you, Camel. I want the people who live there to decide. Now, considering the massive sham elections, you don't really get a actual voice in it. So, there's that. What do you know? But hey. Well, I think you should support the Kurds because they just want a regional government. The only reason they have control of the areas they want is leverage to negotiate with Assad, but he ain't negotiating. This entire thing could be over if Assad would just give them a regional government. They would rejoin. They would. Guaranteed. They want what they have in Iraq. A regional government in Iraq. Because they have that. They want it in Turkey too. Do we exacerbate the issues there? Yeah. Camel. It's very, very complicated. It's not something that's very easy to parse out just on the fly. But if I had to give a breakdown that's really oversimplified, I really don't think so. We have a fundamental disagreement on that. I do not think Assad is the best interest of Syria. I don't. Hafez seems to have done better. I can understand why he would have gotten elected with a high approval rating if those were also even semi legitimate. I can understand that due to what he did for the country. No, Camel, you're on my stream. If you don't want to hear me shit talk Bashar al Assad, then you fuck off. Like, why would you come to my stream and tell me to fuck off talking about Syria? No, fuck you, buddy.
Fascism is a historical phenomena that was that emerged in the 20s and 30s, a period that was an objective social revolution in the forces of production and in politics. You had the New Deal, you had the British welfare state, you had social democracy, and then you had Soviet communism. All of these were united by the fact that there was some kind of objective social revolution defined.
I, the only thing I said about that is that he is not your father, surely. Outside of that, I didn't really deny it. I just said I don't like founding fathers. That's it. That is all I said.
Defining the era. Fascism was specifically fascism. This is how to sum up fascism. Ready? Fascism is liberalism.
No, I think you did. I think you should. Because they don't want the country. They want a regional government. They want an area where they have their own like ability to govern, but still defer to the general laws of Syria. That's it. And even then, I'm not entirely like that. May be not even the best wording for it, but they want space. Not to take over it. If Assad would come to the fucking negotiation table, then it could all be over. But he just won't.
Fascism is liberalism as it enters into a contradiction with itself. Fascism is the psychosis of liberalism.
Okay.
The psychosis of liberalism.
What is a fascist government like?
The liberal order of the 19th century and liberal democracy objectively collapsed in this period of the 20s and the 30s.
So what is a fascist government like? Like, give me some characteristics.
You just look at the example of most of these things are on the surface, Bosch. Nazi Germany called itself fascist, so did Italy.
No, wait.
So it's kind of something on the surface.
So give me some characteristics. Like give me like some characteristics. Like what I'm looking at a fascist government. What does it look like? Paint a picture for me.
So Nazi Germany and Italy. You want me to paint a picture of those
Yeah,
governments?
well, no, not just those two, but fascism in general, because those
You're
aren't the
trying to
only.
create an abstraction that doesn't actually exist in reality, but is some kind of something that exists in thin air.
Wait, hold on, wait,
There's
hold on.
no-
Just to be,
listen,
wait,
your
really quick,
idealism-
really
your
quick.
idealism-
Just to be
your
super clear,
idealism-
you
your-
are
your
creating.
idealism, Vosh,
You
Vosh,
are
you're an
creating an
idealist.
abstraction. I'm
Vosh,
asking you to dispel it.
You believe that there's some abstract criterion of it's an eternal platonic idea or some shit that's actually
Do you
manifesting
know what these
itself in
words
reality.
mean? Are you aware of what any of the words you're using mean? You
Yes, I
realize
am.
by
So
asking for a set.
Call
Wait,
my bluff, Vosh.
by
Vosh,
asking for a set of characteristics.
Listen,
Wait.
listen, Vosh.
Wait,
Unlike you, Vosh, listen,
hold
Vosh,
on. I'm just gonna
unlike
mute you really
I
quick.
know what I'm talking about.
Okay. I'll wait. So, he's still talking. We can wait. That's okay. I'll just talk to Chad for a while. Hey, what's up, guys? I don't mind the yelling. It has to be back and forth. It can't just be one way or it's not fun. It has to be back and forth. We'll wait for a bit. I think he stopped talking. Okay, you here, dude? Okay, cool. So, okay, I've unmuted you. So, this is only fun for me if it's like a little back and forth. I'll give you like 70-30. You can take the 70, but I gotta get at least 30. You gotta give me a little, okay?
30. What's your 30? Tell me your 30.
Yeah, okay. I was just gonna ask a couple of questions. You know, I'm a question asker. So first of all, my question is, and this is important, do you have any idea what any of these words mean? Because saying that I'm trying to invoke an abstraction by asking you for concrete definitions of what fascist governments
What's so
look like,
concrete about
this
it?
is the opposite of an abstraction. So,
Tell me what's so concrete about this definition you're asking for.
Well,
There's
wait.
nothing concrete about it.
I'm not
You're
giving you
asking me
your
to
answer.
locate something in actual reality. You're asking me to locate a string of words that applies to every single circumstance in every possible fucking way.
Damn,
Listen,
that's
boss,
deep.
let me tell you something. Isn't it
You're
kind
not
of
asking for
curious
truth. You're
that-
just asking
isn't
for
it kind of
words to
curious?
describe the truth.
Isn't it okay, Vosh,
Poser.
for example, isn't it kind of curious that if you define fascism preemptively in the way you're saying, you can fucking apply it to the Soviet Union, to China, to North Korea, to communism?
Buddy, if that's true and you really don't like Assad, I can accept that. I don't know why the fuck you would be with a group of people who do, but, you know, whatever. Now, yeah, I don't know about that. There is mixed information out there about you guys. Most of it does push towards y'all being kind of pseudo left. But you know, I don't have any super strong opinions, although everyone I know will tell me that y'all are Nazis. I do see some contradictory information to this based on like actual evidence. But there's a lot of evidence that y'all are willing to work with fascists and Nazis really easy, so I'm really, really, really on edge about that. And again, that's why I don't like nationalism. Cringe. Oh, I'll work with fucking fascists and shit because it's in my country's best interest, when it's really not. Yeah, and that's cringe. Super cringe.
Communist states as well.
That
What?
is kind of curious, isn't it? Really makes you wonder.
It is.
It's curious.
You want to know why? Because you're prejudiced by Anglo-Saxon liberalism, according to which everything outside of liberalism equals fascism. That's why you call every non-Western, every non-Anglo-Saxon white person.
You must think very little of socialism if you think socialism has to meet the definition of fascism.
You could detect in my fucking voice I'm an Arab, and you called me a fascist because you're a fucking racist. You're a Western chauvinist, right?
No, I don't see race. I just assumed that you were an amorphous,
you believe
aracial,
in
agendered
American
blob.
unipolar imperialism and the American boot that's down on the fucking necks of the peoples of the world.
Are you
in the name
engaging
of defending against fascism
in liberal identity politics right now?
You accuse the forces of world anti-imperialism of being fascist, and you slander them on this basis. What a despicable thing, Vosh.
Are you engaging in liberal identity politics right now? Hey, you said that. Hold on, wait. I'm getting it now. You said that liberalism is, when it meets a contradiction, it becomes fascism. And you, despite... Wait, hold on. Wait, I need to mute you because I'm on a brain blast right now. So you said that you are not a liberal, but you're engaging in liberal identity politics. So there's a contradiction there. So you're a liberal engaging in a contradiction. You're a fascist, bro. Now...
No. Literally the whole world pretty much is against anarchists. I don't reach out to Nazis. Nazi-aligned groups, right-wingers. I don't need their help. I need to change their mind. I need to bring them to my side so that I'm not working with a fascist. I'm working with another lefty. Yeah, Hawes is an absolute moron.
Oh, I know.
Okay,
Thank you.
hey,
You
hey,
provided
guess
me
what?
the definition
Guess what?
through showing, not telling. I
Hey,
appreciate
guess
that.
what, dumbass? Vosh, you muted me because you know I'm gonna demolish you when you.
No, it's because
when
I
you
wanted to
unmute me.
preserve the structure of
Am
the
I
joke. You were
unmuted?
going to
Am I
interrupt the
unmuted?
punchline. You're not
Am I
muted right now.
unmuted?
You're not
Am I
muted.
unmuted?
You're unmuted, but you were going to ruin
Okay,
the
I'm
punchline because
unmuted.
you.
Let me respond to that,
This is
Vosh.
what I mean.
First of all, the idea that you need to be a liberal to recognize Anglo-Saxon chauvinism and white supremacy is a joke. It's almost quite the contrary, actually. Oftentimes, what you're calling liberal identity politics is actually a vehicle for Anglo-Saxon chauvinism
Sounds
and
pretty
white
liberal to
supremacy
me, dude.
to disguise itself in opportunistic terms. Second of all, this
Are
is
you
my
still with
fucking
her?
issue. This is my issue with your definition mongering, Vosh. And you know, when you let me speak, I'm gonna beat you. You are demolished. You are wrecked. I am beating you right now. Chat, witness the downfall of
Were
your
you a big
titan.
Obama
Listen,
fan?
Red is
I'm hearing a
rising.
lot of
It's an objective fact.
hope
Let's
and
continue.
change in your
Let's
voice.
continue. Let's continue. I told you fascism is liberalism psychosis, and you said must be an alternative. Every time there's any type of possible what I qualify as a contradiction, that must mean that you're a fat. You're trying to see. This is how you fucking bread tube destiny fucking B tier.
He doesn't even get jokes. He did have fun in this debate. I'm not even going to address the hipsters portion of your comment. But I don't give a shit if a country is sanctioned. Even if I were living there, I would not want to reach out to far right groups. I don't give a fuck about that. No. Because that's how they co opt you, turn you, and make you not a leftist. They try and reach down at the point where you are the worst, pretend to be nice, and show you their fucking horrid shit. But that's because you're a statist and a dumb fuck.
Dear Destiny fucking YouTubers and content creators, you just copied off of Destiny's fucking
B for
style.
big dick.
Listen. Listen. Destiny's whole fucking axiomatic, systemic, whatever fucking thing, you're trying to make that compatible with socialism. Destiny is actually right when he's debating all of you fucking people. He's actually the consistent one.
Sounds pretty liberal.
You're trying to mingle in Marxism and socialism, all this kind of shit with that. And Destiny's just the more fucking consistent one.
Hey, guys.
That's why he wrecks all of you breadtube people in fucking debates.
Guys.
Whenever I watch a debate between you guys and Destiny, Destiny's always won.
Am I right or wrong?
Which, no, Destiny has lost like every debate. No. No, you're not. But you're not. You're literally not. Give me some tenets of leftism that you actually adhere to. What do you adhere to? Because what I've read of this SSNP, they're not actually leftist.
Or is the English language derivative of Eurocentric colonialism? Is this motherfucker speaking English at me right now? Is that unironically what this so-called socialist is doing?
This is the fucking point, Vosh. The reason you defend child pornography is because you don't understand you don't understand that meaning can't be reducible in this robotic, mechanical fucking way to more strings of words. So based on this abstract robotic arithmetic of yours, you found equivalences to lead you to the conclusion that actually there's nothing wrong with holding child pornography because you know what? You're actually having computers from the middle of Central Africa. Therefore, I can say a sociopathic, completely antisocial, fucking
I'm sorry.
anti-human thing.
I don't
and it
speak
fucking don't work
colonizer. I
out.
don't know what
Is
you're
that
saying,
meaning
dude.
means
I'm
to you?
losing it.
Is that what meaning means to you? You lost, Vosh. You lost. It's a wrap. I won. Vosh's chat. I just beat your fucking daddy. How does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel?
Cringe. Okay. That is the big one there. That is the intellectual titan of the tankies, by the way. I don't know, you act kind of reactionary there, bud. Equal debate. You know what? We'll go over more of these on another day. Tonight's not the best night. Okay, so you're in favor of unions. That is a position to hold. Yeah, that debate was gold. Uh, Civil rights. Okay, that is a leftist position to hold. I know conservatives who are in favor of unions, so I don't know. You have a huge mixed bag of stuff, dude. How do you feel about democracy and democratic ownership of the means of production? Are you a mixed bag on this? Because I mean, unions. I know conservatives who support unions, and civil rights is a leftist position. So I mean, how do you feel about gay people? Like the entirety of the LGBTQ plus community. These are positions you need to elaborate on if you want to call yourself a leftist. I don't have much time on here though. I should be getting off in like a few minutes because I have to be prepared to go to work again tomorrow. I came home and I didn't spend hardly any time before I got on here and started streaming for you. I say most stuff it's best for the government to stay out of. Well, that's a reactionary position. Well, it leans reactionary, I should say. But it tends to be very reactionary. It really does. So, I mean, gay rights are civil rights, but if you're on the fence about gay rights, what other civil rights are you on the fence about? Like Kurdish rights, Jewish rights. I mean, gay people have existed throughout all of history. All of history. They just used to have to hide a lot. To some extent. No, I just support gay rights. Like, just full on. It's my eyes. Can't have that running. Like, not to kind of to some extent. No, just here you go. Gay rights. Let's take the keys away from these old people who've been fucking y'all over, and there you go. Right, because they're human rights. But Yeah, okay. You have a good night, Camel. I'm actually wrapping up here too. I hope we can have more. I hope we can have a more productive conversation like this last bit right here. Back and forth. I need to know what you believe, what your positions actually are. You're pretty well anonymous, so you can tell me honestly what you think. There's no way I could ever ascribe anything to you other than referencing you as Camel, that SSNP guy that shows up in my streams. That's it. Yep. Have a good night. Take care, Camel. And as for all of you other motherfuckers in my shit right now, y'all have a good night too. All right. Take care. Seriously, I do appreciate all of you for being here. This is getting more and more difficult to maintain with my day job getting larger and larger. Oh, fuck. I worked 11 hours today. I gotta go work another fucking 10, 11 hours tomorrow. So, yep. Take care. Drink water. I don't, but I'm a hypocrite on my own shit. On this one, at least. I don't usually drink water. I don't like it. I drink sparkling water. Thank you.